Hello, Music Maker Jam community and YouTube. This is your boy Kenshin, aka K, aka Kenny, aka Nightmares Come True. And before we get started on today's tips on how to make your track sound more professional, I want to show you guys a few of my professional sounding tracks with you. I want to share with you guys, and I want you guys to listen to it so you have a general idea how your tracks could potentially sound at the end of this video. Here it goes. Yeah, I know, pretty intense, right? Back in those days, I used to use Music Maker Jam religiously. I used to pour all my emotions, my raw emotions into whatever I was going through, and it just turned out to be very epic, groundbreaking sounds and loops and things of that nature, But that's my taste, that's my field of desire. You might have a different taste, you might have a different acquired taste. Your songs or tracks won't necessarily sound exactly like that, but I can guarantee I'll improve your sounding for any track at the end of this video. Now it's time for tip number 1, and that will be the song structure, your track structure. You want it to be nice and organized. So what that means is these segments up here, these little bars, you want it to name it whatever you want to name it. For example, this is the beginning of the track. All of this stuff is just noise. I'm going to explain to you why that's there as well, but this is the beginning of my track, and that's where I'm going to name it to be start. So you go ahead, you click this and you name it, and that's very important so you won't get lost in a very lengthy track. So definitely make sure you name it. So I'm going to go down these segments real quick, and you're going to see it says turn off here, turn off sound there, let it run, sound off at the end. The reason why I have it named there is because I freestyle in the middle of my track. I turn on and off loops at certain designated points, and I'll explain that as well, what that means. Moving forward to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is going to be your introduction. I can't stress this enough. The introduction to your track is very important. A lot of people make great songs but weak introductions, and you would never know how good that song is because how whack and how boring or lame the introduction was. So you have to really focus on the introduction. I'm gonna go ahead and play my Let Me Out intro so you have a general idea of a very pleasing to the ears, catchy intro that kind of makes you want to keep listening. So here it goes. Alright, so you see how it was very pleasing to the ears, very uplifting, kind of resonate with your soul, and catchy. Yeah, that's because you have a very important introduction here, and it makes you want to keep going, it makes you want to keep listening. So yeah, write that down in your notes. Let all the tricks out the hat here, and I'm just going to be blunt and truthfully honest with this very important tip, and that is going to be the most not used in the Music Maker Jam community. It would be sound effects. Yes, effects. that is so important for making a song like groundbreaking, or making it sound, gives an atmospheric vibe, you know. That's very important. Listen to this. I'm going to disable these real quick, right? The intro doesn't matter, but we're gonna worry about this. Look at this. Listen to this. Did you hear that? Did you hear how groundbreaking that was? Like, it sounds very sinister and evil. It sounds like something's about to come. So you need to add sound effects. Always add sound effects to your tracks. You need it. It changes the whole ball game. Now listen to this sound effect. Listen to this one. Alright, do you feel the power? Do you feel the wrath? Do you feel the godliness? Exactly. You need to implement sound effects. You need to add the cinematic stuff to your songs or tracks. Doesn't necessarily have to be this sound effect, but you know you need to have it. I use sound effects and effects on 100% of my tracks, and that's why it sounds so good. A lot of people in the Music Maker Jam community have non-existent sound effects. There's nothing there. You know, there's nothing there at all. So you want to implement that. You want to make sure you put sound effects there, make sure it sounds powerful, make sure it sounds professional, because you can have the most boring song in the world, but if you have a very professional sound effect, it makes your track sound 100 times greater, and that's a promise. I promise you that. Moving on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is going to be freestyling. No, not freestyling like rapping or singing or anything like of that nature. Freestyling, what I mean by that, jumping from right to left, right to left. I abuse this all the time, and it's not really spoken about in the Music Maker Jam community, but I've put more than 1,000 hours to mastering my craft, so I learned how to utilize it to the best of my abilities. So I'm gonna show you and let you listen to how it sounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this real quick. Beautiful, perfect. So I call that freestyling. It's when you jump from one bracket to the next. So you see how, look, I'll show you again. You see how, it was just her vocals, and it sounded so professional, and then you got the big kick at the end right after it. Yeah, so I call that freestyling, and it makes your track sound like, whoa, I feel like I just got punched. What was that? So I'm gonna go ahead and show you one more time. See how powerful that was? Just from going from left to right to right to left. It's so great, and I abuse it all the time. Now I want you guys to abuse it too, because I'm teaching you guys my tricks and tips and techniques to be a beast at Music Maker Jam. Tip number 5 is going to be sound balancing. You know, when you balance the volume of a loop when it's playing. So I told you I was going to come back to this. So see how it says turn up violin. We're going to go to that and we're going to play it real quick with this off. I'm going to disable that. I'm going to play this part of it real quick so you can listen to how it sounds.
I want to tell you everything will be fine, but I'm afraid that it's a waste of your time. Let me out, I'm lost in words. Don't know how I ended here trapped in a blur.
Okay, so notice how I turned this part off. So now I'm going to turn it on, and then I'm going to go up and down with the volume. Up, down, and you're going to hear how it sounds like it has so much life and love into it. And I use it, like I said, 100% of the time. All these tips I'm showing you, I use it for every single track. So now we're going to run it back again. This time I'm going to press it on. Turn it down so you can hear the difference. So there we go.
I want to tell you everything will be fine, but I'm afraid that it's a waste of your time. Let me out, I'm lost in words. Don't know how I ended here trapped in a blur. I want to tell you.
Okay, so you see how it's going up and down, up and down. I call that volume balancing, and you see, I'm gonna play it by itself. So it's going up and down, it's like fluctuating, and it just brings life. Like it's going to the left ear, it's going to the right ear, it's going up and down, and it just brings so much soul to your track. So let's do it again.
I want to tell you everything will be fine, but I'm afraid that it's a waste of your time. Let me out, I'm lost in words. Don't know how I ended here trapped in a blur.
So when you're recording your track, still do that. Still do it. Look, I'm gonna throw it back here. Okay, we're gonna play it.
Let me out, I'm lost in words. Too much in my head, I should have seen the bad side. Let me out, I'm lost in words. Too much in my head, I should have seen the bad side. I want to tell you everything will be fine, but I'm afraid that it's a waste of your time. Let me out, I'm lost in words. Don't know how I ended here trapped in a blur.
So even when you're recording, that's the most important part, is when you're doing that. When you're recording, don't get discouraged, don't get intimidated. Still balance it up, down, up, down, up, down. All right, tip number 6 is going to be performance boost. All right, so originally this should be common sense, but you know, some people don't seem to get this. That you see these gray boxes up here. All right, so I said at the beginning of this video that I was going to explain why I have this here. I have this here purposely so I can do this. Okay, so I deleted it. Why did I delete it? I deleted it because if you have any unnecessary brackets up here, anything up here that you don't need and it's just accumulating space, potentially all that's gonna do is make your track lag. It's gonna make your track miss sound effects. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes when the track goes right and continues playing, sometimes it's like a big lag delay before it goes to the next bracket. And you know, it's very common sense, but just delete anything that's taking up space that's not gonna be in your track. That really helps 100%. It helped me, I still use it, and it helps you stay organized, so you know you don't have anything unnecessary in your tracks at all. See how at the end I have ending and nothing after that? Yeah, because nothing after that is necessary unless you're being creative and you're trying to, you know, get creative and I don't know, put something together that sounds cool, experiment a little bit, that's good for experimenting. But if you do not need it and it's not going to be involved in your track, get rid of it. And that helps you when you're recording too, so you don't have to worry about lag, because lag is a problem for everything, you know. So now just simply get rid of it. It's that simple. Get rid of it. Now your track isn't as long, and now it's gonna run more smoothly. Alright, now on to the next tip. Right, and now for tip number 7, we're gonna go with the AEFG method. So basically what that is this. So for the first 2 years I was using Music Maker Jam, that's all I did. A, E, F, G. Now mind you, there are many different possibilities, it's endless, but to me, in my personal opinion, I felt AEFG method was the most natural sounding note switch. Of course you can do A, G, F, A, or whatever you want it to. It's just gonna be whatever you want. It's your taste. But if you used AEFG, you realize this sounds natural. I'm not saying to be like me and go ahead and spend 2 years of your life using AEFG. Mix it up. But I'm just saying, if you use AEFG, you will get a natural sounding melody. So let's go ahead and try a quick movie score with this AEFG method. Okay, so that's the AEFG. You hear how it sounds so natural and not forced at all? Just listen to a random string melody. It's very effective, guys. That sounds so natural. Now compared to something completely different, let's try F, E, A, G. Yes, it sounds okay, but it doesn't sound natural. It sounds forced. You see what I'm saying? So definitely go for the AEFG method. Use that until you find something you are more comfortable using. But the AEFG sounds amazing, and you definitely add this to your to-do list. One last thing before going to the next tip. When you're working on a movie score or a trap, applies to any genre. You don't necessarily have to have all your loop volume all the way up to the top. You don't have to have it all the way to the top. That can make distortion, and that can make uneasiness. That can make anyone say that's too loud or anything like that. You don't have to always have it like that. try to master volume control. See, that's distortion. When you have it up all the way up like that, that's really bad. That can hurt somebody's ears. You don't know, somebody could go deaf. You don't know if they have hearing problems or anything like that. So try to like balance it. You know, make it so it sounds good. Just like that. So on to the next tip, number 8. Oh, BTW, all these tips, I'm not saying that you will learn them overnight, but I'm saying that if you practice these tips, you will be outstanding. Your tracks will sound 1000%, not even 100, 1000% amazing. Now for tip number 8, this one is a bit tricky, and this is going to be the end game. So you know, the ending, it could be very problematic with the whole volume control at the end. So you want to make it so it sounds like it ends beautifully. You can end it with a sound effect. That's usually how I do it, but you want to make sure it like ends well, and you want the volume to die down with the ending. So this is how you want your ending for any track to be, if you want it to be very professional. I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you right now. Alright, so that is the ending of Let Me Out, and it takes some skill to master just that, especially when you're under the pressure of recording. Even to this day, I still sweat trying to use all those tips, implement it 100% into the track, recording it, and then ending it like that with the volume control at the end, going like that slowly. Because sometimes if you go too slow, a brand new loop will start over. It will replay like it's supposed to. It's a loop. So if you go too slow, it's gonna be a problem. You have to be just right, like in the middle, you know. So let's do it one more time for you guys. Nice and steady, not too fast, not too slow, just right. You see how it was perfect? That's how you want the outro to be. You want to end your tracks just like that, because it sounds like, wow, I just listened to a masterpiece. You know, that was the masterpiece track, and I gotta go in for again. I gotta listen to it again. So definitely make sure you have the end game strong like that. It makes the listener think like, wow, the importance of this track. So that is that end game. Remember, the ending, the outro is just as important as the intro. The intro is a lot more important, but you know what I mean. So for tip number 9, it's going to be crack fixes. So you know how when you're playing a track and you're changing notes or keys and you hear like a crack in between? Well, I've been using Music Maker Jam for a long time, since 2015, and ever since I've been a part of the community, I've noticed that crack has always been there. It hasn't been fixed, but there are ways around it, not entirely because it's in the system, digested in the system already, but there are ways you can kind of get the listener to not hearing the crack. So that's how it's going to sound when you hear that annoying crack. So here it goes. Okay, so you hear that, how it goes from E to F, and then it's like a crack in the middle. Listen to it very closely. I'll play it again. hear that little puh, a little crack right there. So a lot of listeners hear that crack and it throws them off. That kind of makes it like make it seem like they're not very experienced and they kind of don't want to continue listening for the most part. Even myself, when I hear a track and I hear that crack, it kind of like, it's distasteful, you know. It kind of makes me not want to listen to it, only because it sounds distorted. It sounds so raw. Like, it's just a simple fix that could be out of the system, but at the same time you have to understand these are loops, and the way they record these loops, they're being pre-recorded, so they're instruments that's being recorded. So that's why you have that crack, because they're going to begin recording that instrument. So it's a little crack. So what you can do to potentially try to avoid it somehow, it's just a sound effect. Again, a sound effect. So let's find the sound effect we can use that can make it a little bit more tolerable. Let's hear this. I taught a lot of people this trick, and it's very helpful. So go ahead and use this for your track whenever you hear that crack, because I'm a crack hunter. I look for those cracks in tracks. Okay, so let's play it now. Let's go from E to F. See how it's a lot better and more enjoyable? You can hardly notice it. See, you can hardly notice it. It's still there, obviously, but it sounds more enjoyable to listen to because it's a sound effect, you know? Sound effects are just, that should be your best friend when making a track, because it can make anything happen. It can make a rainy day, it can make a sad day, it can make anything you envision in your head. Anything you envision in your head is going to happen with a sound effect. So here's a perfect example. Oh, Chill Out, by the way, is amazing for making atmospheric tracks. So Chill Out and ambient music on sound packs, definitely go for that. So, see? Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and hear some sound effects. See, with that crash alone, you're able to have endless amount of possibilities of what you can do for your tracks. Listen to how crisp and clean and just wonderful it sounds. See, already you get a vibe, you get an atmosphere, you get epicness, you get greatness, and just two loops. That's hardly doing anything, you know? But I'm gonna stop it there. That's just to demonstrate a little bit of the power of sound effects. FX is so important for Music Maker Jam. And finally, for tip number 10, it's going to be overlapping loops. Yeah, overlapping loops is it's used a lot. I'm not sure why people think it sounds okay, but in reality it doesn't. So overlapping loops is something that it sounds like this. Look. it's not what you want to do. So it's overlapping each other. It sounds confused. Like, it sounds like there's so much confusion. A lot of people do that when they start off. They just put a lot of random good looking or good sounding loops together, and they think it's like peanut butter and jelly, but no, it actually has to go together like peanut butter and jelly. It has to sound natural. It can't sound forced like this. That sounds very unprofessional, and it sounds very, I don't know, unsettling. It just sounds like I don't want to be a part of that world at all. So that's tip number 10. So now that you have these 10 tips, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I guess you can say it's tip number 11. Practice. Practice everything that all the tips I gave to you in this video. Practice it. Practice makes perfect. Try to push yourself. Don't try to copy someone else's style. But even if you get inspiration from another jammer, that's fine too. Try to bring your flavor. Everyone brings a different flavor to the table. Do something different, and take the tips. With the volume control, with the introduction, with the outro, with the volume balancing, with the sound effect cracks, fix adjustments, with the freestyling, and all of that, all the stuff that I taught you. Use it. It's giving it out. I'm giving it out to the world, to you guys, to the jammers, to the Music Mega Jam community. Use it. Master it. Take my style and put it into your world, and embrace it, cherish it. Just get creative, experiment, eliminate things that you don't need, like this, and you're gonna be amazing. So everything I said, you got this. I believe in every jammer. And I really, truly hope you guys got some inspiration. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something. If you guys want me to make another video like this, I'll be more than happy to. But anyway, just everything that you learn, put it together and master it. Practice, practice, practice. Get lost in your thoughts. This is Kenshin, aka K, aka Kenny, aka Nightmares Come True. And I am finally finished with this video. I hope you guys enjoy. Peace out.